Welcome back, everybody, to Hearthstone Global Games. USA just provided an absolute beatdown onto Israel, and now we move into the last game of the day. My name's Gaskin. I've got Falcone in here with me now rather than Lorinda, and we have Canada versus his team coming up.
My team, who are obviously going to win and get through to the top 16.
Against Canada, who you have been kind of writing off this whole time, just because you know they're playing Italy and you think they're going to win. But
easy game.
Let's have a look at the group standings and see how this lies. Mexico 3-0, they are definitely through. However, for Italy, for Canada, there is still potential. Bulgaria, however, they are out. Even if they finish third, they cannot outplace the likes of Argentina, Taiwan, Belgium, and Ukraine, who are already going to be in a decent position for that third place.
You've got like the entire league table memorized, Dan.
Yeah.
I love it. You've been so good on the numbers this week. Let's take a look at Team Italy and who will be representing them. Oh, and I guess Canada too.
Yep, we'll look at Canada, Sidonia, Apex Void, Hot Form, Purple. An amazing squad.
I'm obviously joking. Canada, one of the best teams in the Hearthstone Global Games. They really show their dominance at the beginning of Stage 1. Had a bit of a hiccup now, but Innovan, Turner, Snowman, and Yorgmoth are going to make sure that that hiccup turns into full-on elimination from the Hearthstone Global Games.
So, fact time then for you, Falcone. Did you know Canada created a $1 million coin?
Wow! Where can I get this?
You cannot. It's probably locked up in a vault or put in a museum somewhere.
I thought maybe I could just like pickpocket you or something. Just snag it.
And speaking of millions, you know the Trevi Fountain in Rome?
I do.
Tourists approximately throw 1.1 million euros into the fountain each year.
Wow.
So what would you rather have? A 1 million size coin or 1 million euros in a fountain?
Well, the coin's probably easier to manage, right? You can just...
Yeah, but it's a big old coin, 99.9% gold, I believe.
So it's not like I can just like grab it from your pocket.
It's like big old coin.
All right,
big old coin.
Then I guess I go to the fountain. I wonder who gets to clean out the fountain and pocket the cash.
Well, yeah, someone must have to be able to calculate that. That's the crazy thing. Let's have a look at the classes then that are being brought. Of course, it is a best of 5. All classes are brought. If it goes to 2-2, we go to that ace match, and that's why you'll see one player playing twice on each team. This is the last game of Phase 2. After this game, we should know, and I say should know, all 16 competitors, but tiebreakers may make it a little bit different, and we may need clarification from admins and at later stages, but I have a good picture in my head, so hopefully I'll be able to clarify it for you guys at home.
First up, it's going to be APX Void on the Druid versus Innovan on the Paladin, an age-old matchup that we've seen so much in the Hearthstone Global Games. APX Void there, getting ready to play. Innovan chilling out with, I believe that's Snowman behind him, getting ready. A little bit of teamwork going on there. Always like to see that.
You love to see that if you're an Italy fan.
I love to see that all the time.
Because you are an Italy fan.
Because I've now become an Austria fan as well because of the teamwork.
Are we allowed to pick second teams?
Well, we seem to be doing it anyway. I think officially no.
I would take the USA. There we go. Done. It's out there. No one else has got USA.
Realistically, we thought you were going to take USA from the beginning because of your recent marriage.
And I was born there.
And the fact that you were born there. I don't think we actually knew that at the time.
Yeah, well, either way, Game 1 is underway. The last series of the day. Innovan versus Apex.
Going to be a fast one too, as that's an aggressive? That's an aggro token Paladin deck on the top versus what looks like an aggressive Murloc Paladin on the bottom.
To be fair, we say it's a fast one.
Druid, not Paladin on the top.
You say it's a fast one, but sometimes this game can slow down. And you can get to a point where both the hands end up being depleted. And you're into top deck versus top deck, into trade versus trade. Usually, the Paladin can stabilize in that point, but Living Mana can change that very quickly.
Sometimes, Dan, I think you need to slow down.
Wow. All right, that's brave of you to say.
Smell the flowers. Enjoy yourself.
Okay.
In the Hearthstone Global Games
I'll
studio.
walk home a little bit slower tonight, shall I?
Yeah, take Neil the Murloc with you as well.
No. I won't. So mulligan options now for Apex Void. He's of course got the Corsair, which will bring out patches. Tar Creeper is good to keep if you think you're going up against any aggro, but it's how aggressively you want to go. You could just throw it away and look for more options, and I don't know if those are more options. There are options, I don't know if they're good
So Mark of Yasharaj makes it a little bit better. Now you can Power of the Wild to create a Panther, then turn it into a 5/4 with Mark of Yasharaj, draw a card. It's slightly better. We don't want to be using Power of the Wild to buff boards here, as there's no board to buff. Bit of a tongue twister, that one. Italy, Innovan has the dream start though. Tidecaller into Rockpool Hunter, into Murloc War Leader, or Tidecaller into War Leader. I quite like playing both 1-drops here and then playing Tidecaller and then Wall Eater next turn. That looks like the way to go about this.
I think I like playing both 1-drops here as well. Because you want to try and contest the board. Of course, you can then Rockpool Hunter anything that survives, if it survives.
And you expect something to. You're dropping a 1-3.
I mean, even if
a 2-2.
Mark of the Lotus was to come out, Power of the Wild was to come out, you're still in a comfortable position. However, Mark of the Lotus innovate into Power of the Wild, then it gets a little bit different.
Yeah, but then you're playing around a lot of stuff, a very situational hand. It just seems so good. You end up with a 1-3 and a 2-2 on the board. Obviously, the Inquisitor buffs the Tidecaller. And the next turn, one of these minions gets even bigger. So that is the way Innovan going to go after discussing it thoroughly with his team.
Yeah, and it seems like the right play for me. Consecration is a very key card in this matchup.
Oh! Oh, wrong crab.
It was yellow and you got excited, and I understand the excitement.
There's Murlocs on one side, Pirates on the others. I saw it.
But actually, I mean, eating your own Pirate might be alright in this situation, just to put a 3-4 on the board.
It's just like merging patches with the Galactic Crawler, isn't it?
But I think I kind of prefer using either Mark of Yasiraj or Power of the Wild just to make sure you kill off this Tidecaller. Because you don't want to allow that to get out of hand.
I agree, and I think it's Power of the Wild. You can trade the Bloodsail Corsair into the 2-2. Patches, so both minions survive that way. I guess Mark of Yasiraj is fine too.
I mean, it's alright. Of course, you don't get the value out of the draw, but it allows you to keep patches alive.
Yeah. I'm confident the Galactic Crawler is not the play. We can go that far. It looks like he is going to go with the Power of the Wild, make the trade that I suggested a moment ago, and hit in patches too, trying to keep these Murlocs as small as possible. This does play around Rockpool Hunter, actually.
Yep, I really like it. And as I was briefly saying before Galactic Crawler was drawn and you kind of threw your hands up aloft, got a little bit excited, understandably.
Jumped up and down.
Consecration against Living Mana is, of course, very important. If you have 2 Consecrations, even better. Some variants of Murloc Paladin, though, don't even have Consecration in nowadays. And that could be very detrimental if you are going up against Living Mana.
Rockpool Hunter are going to come down anyway there. Not actually doing anything. The Murloc died anyway. It's just putting the 2-3 body on the board. And now that Mark of Yasiraj is looking much stronger, it will turn patches into a 4-3, trading very nicely against the 2-3 that's sitting there.
Yeah, I think you might have to as well.
I guess it's not ideal. You're using your mana inefficiently. You're not getting the card draw, as you said earlier. But what's the alternative? You Power the Wild, buffer patches, trade it in? That's much worse.
No, I mean, if you're going to go down that route, you just use your hero power, right?
Yes.
So this makes the most sense.
I think this is the only play, really.
Yeah. I mean, there's debate for the others because, of course, Galactic Crawler...
There's debate for the others?
Yeah, debated. Galactic Crawler into Mark of Yasiraj would have been nice next turn. But I like just keeping the board. Keeping the board against Murloc Paladin is always a good idea.
So as Italy now, do you just want to suicide this Murloc Wall Eater into a very angry patches? Or do you just hero power and let it die to the Druid hero power? I don't know, this is a rough turn as well. I think you have to Wall Eater.
Yeah, the thing is, if you don't Wall Eater here, then things go from bad to worse. You're scared of what could emerge from your opponent's hand.
Things are going to go very, very bad once that Living Mana comes down. That's the thing that jumps out to me about this game at the moment. There's no Consecration yet for Innovan, if he even runs it. Ooh, Vicious Fledgling, exactly what APX Void needed right now.
Yeah, just what the Doctor ordered. You can now just run patches into the 3-3, of course, and then play a Vicious Fledgling and say, all right, how are you going to answer it? It is turn 4. Of course, True Silver Champion's a possibility. Rallying Blade could be there as well, but...
It's just going to be Gentle Megasaur by the looks of it. Depending on what Italy pick up next turn, this is going to just be a win for Canada within the next 3 turns, it looks like. Unless Italy can pick up some way of dealing with the Fledgling and then Living Mana.
That's a way of dealing with the Fledgling.
Step 1, complete. Step 2 is draw Consecration.
And then we're good. We are Gucci.
Team Italy there, like Snowman just flexing there in the background.
They're just like, yeah, we knew it was coming. And the Hearthstone meta is restored.
To its balance.
To its balance. The balance is restored to the 4.
Oh, Living Mana into Savage Row in a few turns, though. That's... Alright, it's not quite game-ending just yet, but I don't see any reason why Canada wouldn't drop 5 2-2s here.
No, I think a Living Mana is a very obvious play here, but alternatively, you could Galactic Crawler into... Yeah, I think it's just Living Mana, and then if Innovin and Italy do decide to kill off one of the Living Manas, then it gets interesting for Apex Void, because then you can use your Power of the Wild, because you've got one of those juicy little mana crystals back. However, Italy, if they can survive a little bit longer, if they can keep this going, getting a Spike Rich Steed down is going to be massive. Doesn't matter if Living Mana's on the board, that's a lot of taunt that you have to get through.
Unfortunately, Snowman, sorry, Innovin not picking up the consecration he needed. Not 2 perfect top decks in a row, but Finger's fine.
Finger is fine, because next turn you can Finger, you can kill off one of these 2/2s, you can also kill another one off with your True Silver.
And then you play the Gentle Megasaur and buff up all the Murlocs. Or were you looking at Spike Rich Steed? Both look good, right?
Both do look good. Spike Rich Steed probably, and it depends what you draw as well. If you can draw anything with charge and be able to kill off another 2/2, then great, but you can pull any Murloc out, Spike Rich Steed it, and then you've only got 3 2/2s on the opposition board that can try and get through this taunt.
Okay, well, you know what? A few turns ago, I was looking at Living Mana and thinking, oh dear, that card looks completely game-ending, but Finger actually here in a position where it's not horrible. There's no Mark of the Lotus immediately for APX Void to pick up and buff all of these guys. That would be a disaster for Italy, but nope, Tar Creeper, unplayable too. All APX Void can do this turn is hit face with everything and pass. There's no other options.
Yeah, Mark of Lotus or an Innovate would have been huge for Canada, but instead they just have to put what they can to face and wait and see what happens.
So we attack in first and then decide whether we're steeding or whether we're playing Gentle Megasaur. For example, if we got 2 Bluegill Warriors, I think we consider playing Megasaur, going for some health, trading in, making them survive. Or Death Rattle, that works too.
But quite often our Bluegill Warriors aren't even run.
No, they're not. So,
And now I'm thinking, yeah, you Spike Rich Steed onto the Inquisitor
yeah,
here.
Steed's so good on the Inquisitor, it becomes a 3/9. Even though there's a Power of the Wild there, it's still going to take 3 of them to trade in, and they will get destroyed.
Yeah, and Savage Roar might have to be used to do so, and then that's a Savage Roar that's been wasted as well. Just trying to bash through 2 taunts is not going to be fun.
Amazing that Finger and this combination of cards have allowed Italy to stabilize against what was a horrendous start from Canada. Imagine if the Vicious Fledgling couldn't be dealt with.
Yeah,
that would have gone completely out of control.
Yeah, that's when it could have gone south. And that was why Innovin was giving the flexes and the fist bumps to his teammates, because, you know, it's game winning, being able to draw like that. Always answering a Fledgling is always a very good feeling, Dan.
Yeah, sure. And winning with a Fledgling is also a good feeling.
Is it?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
Of course you wouldn't.
Actually, I do. No, I'd be such a liar if I said that. Of course I've
never played Aggro Druid on ladder.
No, it's not like I played like 200 games of it last season or anything.
Or yesterday.
Yesterday. So now you may be forced to use Savage Roar just to get through these taunts, but it's still an ugly way to do so.
You still have to trade in too, and you still have to hit your face in as well.
Can't even get through everything. That's the funny thing. And I say funny, it's not very funny, it's actually quite painful to look at.
Pretty funny for me because I'm truly backing Team Italy here, and I find this situation hilarious.
Alright, until the series is over, I'm going to ban you from backing Italy.
What?
Is that alright?
No, that's not fair.
And you have to be completely level-headed, and you have to cast the game as if you are not favouring either side.
That is not I didn't...
That's how casting works. That's what you signed up for. That's what's in your contract. Alright? Check it.
Okay.
Great. Glad we established that one.
Yes, sir.
And Canada just having to pass. Feels a bit awkward, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What do you think an Italy fan would say right now?
I think an Italy fan would be pretty happy with the situation. I think they'd probably consider playing a Gentle Megasaur first, buffing up these Murlocs.
Yeah.
Trading in Finger, or maybe you trade in the Finger first and then play the Megasaur. It's actually a tricky turn because if you trade in the Finger and want to kill something, you need to trade in the Tidecooler first, or Patches, I guess.
Yeah, Patches first allows you to trade a little bit better.
All right, Finger and then the Megasaur. Okay, this is fine. You can even drop Hydrologist or just Hero Power. I love how the Tidecooler gets... I mean, an Italy fan would enjoy the fact that Murloc Tidecooler gets buffed here.
I mean, alternatively, if you're going to go down that route, I could just become a fully fledged Canada fan.
Yeah, go for it. Then we're just at war.
Okay.
Casters at war. Ooh, plus health with a board full of Murlocs this big. I mean, Divine Shield's good too, but health just does the job absolutely fine for Innovin.
Yeah, this is looking like curtains for this game for Apex Void and Canada. Bitterside Hydra not going to save you.
Oh, wow, look
And
at
just
that.
to concede, get this game out of the way. Italy going 1-0 up. Canada are going to have to come from behind if they're going to be able to take this series.
Yeah, APX Void doing a good job of acknowledging the game is over. No need to draw it out any longer. Both of these Italian guys wearing their Atrix team jerseys. A bunch of the guys. I'm not sure if it's 3 or all 4 of the guys on Team Italy, but they all play for the same team. So they're used to communicating with each other. I think it's one of the reasons that they've done so well in this tournament so far. Communication and teamwork is such an important aspect.
It definitely is, and we've seen different styles of teamwork come through from the global games. We've seen teams that like to argue and get a little bit aggressive at each other. Greece, however, they like to shout, and it seemed to work. Going into game 2 now, let's see who's going to be facing off against each other. Purple versus Le Snowman, and it is going to be a Druid versus the Mage. Dan, any initial thoughts?
Druid versus Mage, a matchup that we've seen a few times today as well. If it's going to be the token Druid, then we expect the Mage to be favoured. Full of board clears. If it's Freeze Mage, then Frost Nova, Doomsayer, that kind of thing. If it's Discover, then Volcanic Potions, that does the job. Otherwise, Jade Druid actually beats the Mage, so it's kind of a gamble for purple here. It totally depends on what Snowman's playing.
Can I say facts yet? You can say no. I'm going to give you the option. You can say no, and I
actually want to hear the fact about Italy, so go for it.
So there is a restaurant in Italy called Solo Perdue, which is just a 2-person restaurant. It has 1 table. It is one of the most popular restaurants in Italy, but you just have service for just you and another person. No one else in the restaurant.
I mean, that's a really interesting idea when you think about it.
Sounds bliss, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Imagine how hard it is to get booking there.
I was going to say, I bet it's expensive as well.
I didn't actually look at the menu. Maybe I'll have a look at the menu later. But a very popular tourist destination in Italy.
Sure.
Yeah, it's on the up, on the rise. Everyone wants to go there. Speaking of on the rise, Italy 1-0 up. And you can see Snowman now has switched places and he's in charge, but he's up against purple. Now Canada, interestingly, Dan, were the first country to ever build a UFO landing pad. Yeah, you heard me right.
But if anyone's keeping track, that's another fact.
It is 1967. They actually built a landing pad for a UFO.
And has one ever landed on there?
I'm going to take a bet. No.
Yeah, I think...
Helicopter might have, though.
I think you'd probably be rewarded for that bet, yeah. Oh, Dan, fact birthday man. What are we going to do with you? I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss having you here in the studio here in Poland.
Yeah,
for the next couple of weeks.
Going on a nice holiday to America. It'll be great. Maybe I'll bump into the USA squad who have just dominated Phase 2.
And Phase 1, really.
And Phase 1.
And it's going to be the Jade Druid after all, so Snowman feeling very good about this matchup. Not unwinnable for purple, but because of the additions of the, Feral Rage is obvious, but also Earthen Scales from Ungoro, it just makes the matchup even harder for the Mage. The addition of Blizzard into Mage makes me think this might be Freeze Mage too.
Oh, that's scary.
Which is very bad. No, we saw George C. play this matchup way back, and I believe it was week 3 of the Hearthstone Global Games. First week we did together.
Can I get all through one game of not mentioning George C?
I know you just love them. Well, I mean, this is my fault.
I've brought him up every series now.
But he played this matchup from the Major side.
He
and
did.
He almost won. It was so close.
A 1 in 3 to draw a Fireball, I believe.
Yeah.
He rattled through like 20-odd armor from the Druid. And he claimed that the matchup wasn't that unfavorable. But when you're one of the best freeze mages around, I guess you can make statements like that.
No matchup is that unfavorable.
But you're right. Like the Discover Mage, you have a better chance just because of the likes of Medivh. It can help. You can build a board. But now Druids, they're running Gluttonous Ooze. And that can then just cancel off that game plan.
Yeah. Well, if anyone's going to have a chance at doing this, I believe in Purple, one of the most renowned players in Hearthstone. He's acted as multiple pro players, coaches. He's been coach for them in the past, and he's a fantastic player in his own right. Snowman looks like he's got a good start, though. We've got Coin, Wild Growth, into Jade Blossom, into Nourish. Seems like a good first 3 turns to me.
Yeah, pretty average.
Coin, Wild Growth, Jade Blossom, Nourish.
Yeah, standard, you know, Jade Druid start. And I think we need to start getting used to Jade Druid as well, Dan. With Quest Rogue being nerfed, I think that is going to allow Jade Druid to just really rise through the ranks.
Well, that is something that will make Lorinda happy. I know that much.
It definitely will.
He's a huge Jade Druid fan. I'm actually saying that unsarcastically as well.
Oh, yeah.
Usually when I say that Lorinda is a fan of something, I'm being sarcastic. Like Reno, for example.
Yep.
But no, he loves the Jade Druid.
You can't say that word when he's around, Reno. I tried it as well. It didn't go very well.
I thought you were referring to love.
Oh, also that one. No, it's not great. So as you quite rightly pointed out, Jade Blossom is pretty fantastic here. And there is the option for Innovate into Nourish into then Wrath if you wanted to, if you were going to innovate out the mana crystals from Nourish. But I think Jade Blossom's just too strong.
Yeah, it just is. And the fact that that then allows you to curve into Nourish. Nourishing on turn 3 is just stupid, like without even using up an Innovate. I think he'll go for card draw, though. Yeah. There's no reason whatsoever to go for ramp when his hand is looking this poor. Looking on the other side, Canada got nice barrier as well. Now, yeah, I'm Acolyte. I'm pretty confident this is just Freeze Mage.
Yeah, and we need to talk about how the Freeze Mage is actually going to win this game. And it's by doing what Purple just did there. He didn't take a value trade by killing off the 1-1. You just send any damage you can at any point to face. Your pings need to go to face.
Especially when there's armor as well, because that means that the Alexstrasza is still getting its full effect. Like, say Snowman were to play Feral Rage for some reason this turn, then Purple would want to get rid of that armor as soon as he possibly can.
Yeah, Alexstrasza on 9 is going to be a good way to win this matchup, but also using any damage where you can to the face of Italy. That's how George C did it. Well, almost did it, and we saw in week 3. And also by leaving the 1-1 on the board, it means there's a potential chance that your Acolyte could also get some draw as well. Primordial Glyph's going to be huge in this matchup. Really need to find some more burn. If you can find 2 more Pyroblasts, you're in a good spot.
One of the other biggest cards in this matchup, if the Mage can do this combo while they've still got time to not be beaten down by the Druid, is Antonidas plus Frost Nova. Jade Druids don't have any hard removal anymore. There's no mulch. They would have to use something like a Swipe and a Feral Rage to get rid of it. But Antonidas can just sit there, freeze the board, and pick up more and more fireballs, eventually getting through much of the armor that the Jade Druid can come up with. As we go into the next turn, and Fandral picked up, oh my goodness, Nourish and both Gadgetzan Auctioneers in Italy's hands. So, given the time, they can get through all of their cards, pretty much. They might even Nourish for mana now, because they could Nourish for mana, and then over the next few turns, play Gadgetzan Auctioneers with Innovates, with Wraths, with all of that stuff, and still draw all the cards. I guess Fandral Wrath is a consideration as well.
Fandral Wrath is what I'm looking at. That's where my eyes were instantly drawn toward.
The problem is with that is that Fandral becomes so valuable later on. Like, say Nourish is used up, Gadgetzan Auctioneer is used up. If Fandral's on the board, you play the Auctioneer, you can play Jade Idols and keep shuffling and keep playing them at the same time. That can give you a huge tempo swing.
It can, but at this point, you may be encouraged just to get something on the board to stop this little chip damage coming through from Canada. Most importantly, we've not seen Earthen Scales drawn yet, and that's exactly what Italy are going to want to find, but Italy do have all the tools, as you said, to just draw through their entire deck, so those Earthen Scales are going to be found. Sorry to cut you off, is it going to be the double Earthen Scale variant though? Most of the time it's 2,
I think
but
so.
we did see some variants only running 1 Earthen Scales.
I just think it doesn't matter what Snowman's drawn at this point, because he's got so much card draws. He's drawn the card draw, that's the important thing, and he's drawn ways of drawing even more cards. If he wanted to, he could Nourish, and then he can just go mad with the Gadgetzan Auctioneer. Hasn't played an Innovate yet, played 1 Wild Growth. There's so much potential there. So he's going to draw the Earthen Scales, both of them, before it's too late. I'm certain of that.
So I think Purple and Canada, they're not going to be worried about this Fandral. They're probably going to ignore it. You could now use that glyph if you wanted to start looking now. However, the mana curve does work well with just getting one of those secrets out. So I think an Ice Block could just come out here.
It's a shame letting that Fandral live. There's a Nourish in the hand ready to go. Purple not playing around it, because if one's already been used, you don't necessarily need to play around the second one. However, I think we know how this turn is going to go.
I just don't think you can afford to be wasting time killing off the Fandral. I think you just lose if you try and play that game.
So basically, he just loses if there's a Nourish in hand. That's the conclusion here, and that's something that Purple may have already decided.
But I don't think he thinks he loses if Nourish is in the hand necessarily. He's trying to think that actually if I can get enough damage out, then maybe I can still win this game. Yes, Nourish isn't going to help.
Yeah.
It's going to allow him to draw through his deck and get closer to those Earthen Scales, but we've not seen any Jades yet, Dan. We've not seen those Jades get big enough to even apply the Earthen Scales onto them.
It's not going to take them long.
No, it does happen very quickly. You're completely right.
I'm not sure why the innovate before the nourish there. It just wasn't necessary. The hand wasn't too full, I counted. So, just seemed like an odd choice to me. He could have drawn 3 and then innovated if he needed to. I guess Snowman had already decided he was playing Aya that turn 100%. So... Oh, did he draw that? No, oh no, he drew that just before the nourish, okay. Just before he played the nourish.
More card draw drawn for purple, but still lacking this damage at the moment. Most importantly, still lacking that Alexstrasza, but looking at this, the state of this game at the moment, Alexstrasza might not even be important because you've already chipped them down to 22 and they're just going to start gaining armor at some point. So let's talk about how much damage is still left for Canada. They've still got both Fireballs, they've still got both Frostbolts,
yep.
So that's 18
a
still available. A Pyroblast, that's 28.
Probably Antonidas, that's infinite.
And okay, so that's how you win this game, right? Antonidas is going to allow you to win this game. But you've also got Glyphs. In theory, that's a potential 20 damage available as well.
Okay, look, it's rare that I go this all in, but I really don't think Purple can win this game. We're already on 10 mana for Snowman. He's got 2 Gadgets and Auctioneers. He's got the Innovate. He's got a Feral Rage with Fandral on the board. I just don't see how he ever doesn't get there, to the point where he's got infinite Jade Idols, he's got all of the armor he could possibly want.
I've made this mistake before, though, and I've counted the Freeze Mage out, and they do sometimes just manage to find damage. And
okay, I take it back. I take it all back. I expected Snowman to be a little bit more greedy on the Earthen Scales. Maybe he's doing the right thing by playing it now and just cycling through his deck.
Usually one big Earthen Scales is enough to be able to get out of range of a Freeze Mage.
Yep, that's fair.
I mean, look, he's already on 35. We just counted how much potential damage there is, even with the Glyphs. I mean, you're looking at, what, 48 damage if you were to find 2 Pyroblasts from your Glyphs?
Yep.
If there's Antonidas, then that's a different story.
The problem is with Antonidas, I mentioned this briefly earlier, but I said if the mage has time to pull off this combo, the thing is they can play Antonidas, great, generate a couple Fireballs, play Frost Nova, but then they can be in the position where the Jade Golems are so big, as soon as they're unfrozen, they're just going to pop your block instantly anyway. So the mage needs to do that either when they've got time so the Jade Golems aren't too big, or when they have a second freeze available in the hand. So they can, you know, with one hand, or with half their mana, freeze the board, and with the other half of their mana, start burning the face, and keep doing that. But that's very tricky to hold all of those resources back.
It is very... yeah, you're completely right. You have to manage those resources perfectly. So purple here... I mean, really, you don't like leaving the Auctioneer on the board, but we've seen the game plan. You can't sacrifice any of the burn here. So you may just have to go Frost Nova into Doomsayer, and then look for more options with Primordial Glyph.
Okay, gets a Blizzard. Okay, all of these board freezes are so important. Gonna Fireball away the Auctioneer. Wasting 6 damage, yes, but deems it necessary. And now, there is a Fandral on the board, and there is Jade Idol in hand. I don't think Snowman will want to shuffle right now. He'll want to pick up the second Earthen Scales first, and I think the second Feral Rage 2 hasn't been picked up yet.
Yeah, you're right. I've seen it, actually, this matchup play out sometimes where they have shuffled a little bit early, and you get into the endless shuffle cycle, but you know there is one Earthen Scales left in.
Right.
And by that point, you end up with a handful of... a deck full of 20 cards.
So I wouldn't be too surprised if we just see Jade Spirit, Jade Behemoth this turn.
Yep.
The problem with that is that it would completely fill up Italy's board. I don't know if that's ever a problem for them here.
But stall is very important for Canada. That Blizzard is a big pickup. Well, I know I spoke about getting burn damage from Glyphs, but being able to stall a little bit, because if you do have Tony in this deck, Antonidas, then...
Well, it's the exact same game plan I mentioned earlier, right? So 4 mana for the Blizzard, 4 mana for the Fireball. Next turn, Frost Nova, Fireball, and just do that once per turn. Yeah, okay, gonna hold off on the Jade Spirit there. Keep armoring up. Every single point can matter.
Alexstrasza...
It's not good enough.
Not really going to help in this situation.
Doesn't get rid of your armor.
6 damage.
Yeah. So Antonidas does set your hero's health to 15, but he doesn't touch your armor. So if you've got 50 health, then yeah, sure. Sorry, if you've got 50 armor, sure, it sets your health to 15, but you've still got 50 armor. And Italy's not far off. Okay, he's quite far off.
If Alexstrasza could blast through armor as well, it would be pretty broken. And this matchup would be a lot more even.
I'd go as far as to say is that the mage would just be straight up favored. Well, maybe not, because the druid would save all of their armor gain for after the Alexstrasza gets played. But okay, Blizzard going to come down now. Purple going to deal with that Fandral, which does slow down Snowman's tempo later, but I think it was unrealistic to ever expect the Fandral to live that long. Oh, okay, now, I don't mind Italy just dropping Jade Spirit here, just ramping up, making these Jade bigger for later. He's got infinite Jades anyway. May as well just throw that out, let them get destroyed, and then the next Jades are even bigger. Means the Earthen Scales, when you eventually draw it, is even bigger.
And I mean, I say Alexstrasza is not going to make an impact, but if Purple can clear this board here and have a relatively clear board, he can play Alexstrasza next turn, and there's potential late damage could go face. Of course, Aya is going to plop out another Jade. It's just going to be onto the board. That Jade's not going to be big enough to actually kill off an Alexstrasza. However, in a combination with a swipe, it would be. Ooh, okay.
Yeah, you can actually get rid of it. That's not what I expected at all, but then what are the swipes important for? Dealing with Antonidas later is the only thing I can think of. But Italy going to go for the win as soon as possible. They don't know that there's 2 more Frost Novas in Purple's hand and also another Doomsayer. Okay, more board clears, but Meteor and Flame Strike aren't exactly be big enough. I guess Meteor is big enough, really, to deal with 1 Jade Golem.
And you try again.
So man not going to have a double swipe this turn. Feral Rage. Just needs the Earthen Scales, and then he can start shuffling and start getting through everything.
And now this means that Alexstrasza does have the possibility of going onto a naked board. And it does have a possibility of sending 8 damage to face.
Yeah.
In conjunction with a Meteor, that is even more likely.
I don't expect Italy to really do anything this turn. They might Feral Rage, because I can't think of why hold it. Like, there's no card that just destroys armor. So if you're going to use the Feral... I guess you hold it to use it with Gadgetzan Auctioneer, but I think you want your Gadgetzan Auctioneer turn to be Auctioneer, Jade Idol, Jade Idol, Jade Idol, Jade Idol. Maybe with a Wild Growth in there if he gets that sooner, because I think there's still one floating around in the deck.
Yeah, you Feral Rage up, you get another 8. Hero Power get 9.
Yeah.
Alexstrasza probably going to come down and will just remove, of course, just 6 health. But at least for Canada, they can play this Alexstrasza. Then if something like a Primordial Drake comes down, or if the Jade Behemoth comes down, Meteor can be used to remove that. You can also use Frost Nova as well for a little bit more stall. At 8 damage can go face. And maybe this is how you win this game, by being able to constantly send 8 damage to face.
Purple is picking up more and more board freezes. I don't know, I did say earlier I thought there was no way Snowman could lose this, but then I didn't expect the early Earthen Scales. I feel as though the way you guarantee the win in this matchup is by getting those Jades up to 11, 11, 12, 12, and then putting 2 Earthen Scales on it and just gaining 15 armor. Obviously, Snowman decided it was important to use that first Earthen Scales for cycle, to gain a little bit of armor. Sure, it gets you closer to your win condition. And he's still in a fine place here. There's a lot that needs to go wrong for him if Canada do win this.
Yeah, but it could start going wrong. If he is really scared about Alexstrasza, and I mean really scared, there is, of course, the option to kill it off this turn with Feral Rage and Wrath, but it's ugly.
But then you're still taking 8 damage.
You are, but you're not taking 16.
Okay.
And I guess that's the thought process behind it. I don't think they will go for it. I think instead they're just going to create some Jades. But now we do have the chance for Purple to Meteor out and get rid of this taunt. Freeze the board, send 8 damage to face, and then you might have the chance to do it all again next turn.
Sorry, but Canada just drew that Firelands portal.
Yes.
So, are we expecting Medivh rather than Antonidas?
Quite possibly. I mean, as we touched upon earlier, we've seen Medivh and Firelands portals in a few freeze
and
mages.
who created that list?
George. Well, I don't know if George C created it, but I know he took it to Legend a few days ago. So.
Yeah, it's going to make it harder against Jade Druid unless they get that huge unless the mage gets that huge swingy turn where they put the Medivh down. Firelands Portal, the 7-5, for example.
But look at this now. Italy can play another taunt. Canada have another way to remove it, and they have another freeze. That's 8 more damage that's going to face. Firelands Portal is more burn that we hadn't considered, we hadn't counted, because we just assumed it was a more natural freeze.
Yeah.
Are you still saying this game is unwinnable?
Well, to counter what you just said about Firelands Portal being the extra 5 damage, it also means that Purple has lost the chance of an extra infinite damage from the Anti-Knight.
We say infinite.
Presuming there is.
It's usually like 1 or 2 fireballs,
yeah,
right?
I'd expect 2 if they're going to play it with Frost Nova at least. Probably, yeah, 2 realistically.
So now Meteor deals with not only just the Primordial Drake, but also the 7-3.
Oh, there's a Pyroblast as well.
And that's a Pyroblast as well. There's so much damage available for Canada. Purple's in a decent spot, Dan.
I wonder if Alex Straza trades with the 6-2. Purple, oh, okay, what?
Huh, that's slightly different. I wasn't expecting
This whole game, I've been thinking this was a freeze mage.
I mean, it has been.
I'm so confused, Dan.
But now you Meteor. You kill off the 7-3, and then you probably just Frost Nova as well, just to make sure that 6-2 can't trade. You've already seen 2 swipes, and you force a response out of Snowman.
Does Purple ever consider playing Mana Worm and Blizzard this turn? Then next turn Meteoring? I'm trying to work out if there's a way he can get that Mana Worm down, because I think developing a huge board is a more consistent way of winning. What about Mana Worm, Arcanologist, and Frost Nova?
I just think you send 8 damage to face every day of the week.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And then you have the chance of sending another 8 damage to the face next turn, depending on what comes out. You've seen 2 taunts now.
Purple going to make your play, going to Frost Nova, and yeah, smack Snowman in the dome. Snowman is not going to want to lose this matchup, especially if he watches back this cast and sees what I said earlier.
I mean, 4 cards remaining. One of those should be an Earthen Scales, and those Jades are getting pretty big. So there is still the chance to put yourself out of range. You've still got a Feral Rage as well. But if he plays the Primordial Drake, he just kills off his 6-2. If he plays the Tar Creeper can be dealt with the Firelands Portal, and then that's 8 damage going face again.
I do not like where this is going.
Why?
Maybe I need to slow down, Dan.
Slow down and take it easy.
Smell the roses.
Okay, so for Italy here, how desperate are you for that Earthen Scales? How desperately do you need to try and kill off this Alex Straza? I think it's probably going to be Tar Creeper combined with maybe Jade Spirit just to put stuff on the board.
Yeah, okay, so Snowman's going to want to apply some pressure of his own. So I like dropping the Jade Spirit too. Going to just play the Feral Rage to get back into a safe distance. Why is your mouth so wide?
I thought he was hovering over attack.
Oh, no. Goodness, no.
Yeah,
Dad's just like gawping at the screen. What is going on right now? No. We're back to reality.
We are. So now Mana Worm, and then you can Firelands Portal away this 3-5. Or you can use Flamestrike or Blizzard plus a ping. Yeah, I really like this.
Yeah,
it means there is, yes, there's contestion for the Alex, but you're still sending 8 more points of damage to face.
Earthen Scales. All right, we go now. It's Gadgetzan Auctioneer time, I think. Auctioneer, Wild Growth, Jade, Idol, and then Earthen Scales is one way of looking at this turn. It means that you get to create a 9/9. You gain 10 armor off of it with the Earthen Scales. Is that as much armor as you can get?
What to do?
Oh, I guess an alternative play would be to just trade in to the Alex Straza, Wrath the Mana Worm, and next turn get your crazy Gadgetzan Auctioneer.
Well, you could Auctioneer into Wild Growth, into Draw, into Wrath. But then you've
oh, yeah, that
all
works
3
too.
of your cards, and you're going to take 1 fatigue, right?
So Auctioneer
You've
Wild...
been able to shuffle that way?
Auctioneer Wild Growth Shuffle, then it has to be...
You have
yeah,
to...
the cards have to be drawn in a specific order as well, or as you said, there's going to be at least 1 fatigue damage taken by Snowman, because if you shuffle Jade Idol, you draw the card and then shuffle. Something that not everyone might know unless you played a lot of this matchup.
Oh, this is a decision. It's very brave if Italy do decide to just go face here, because you do have to be worried about another Meteor potentially.
Well, if there is a Meteor, if there's another Meteor, then Purple's not killing Snowman that turn. That could have been the counter-argument to trading there. But I guess Italy... You expect Italy to win this game in the long run if the Jades get so big that Earthen Scales will do the work. Next turn, Auctioneer, shuffle the Jade Idol, Wild Growth, then Jade Idol would work as long as he doesn't think he's dead next turn, because then the turn after that, he can play a bunch of Jade Idols and then Earthen Scales the biggest one.
So now, as excited as I was getting, we are now getting a little bit of stabilization.
Back to reality, like I said a moment ago.
Yeah, he's going to be able to generate probably another 10, maybe 11 armor. But there is 15 in hand. There is another Fireball. There is another Primordial Glyph. There is still a potential. But you are running out of time.
Okay, let's see if Purple can pick up a Charger. Lyra! Okay, calm down. There's no spells playable this turn. For anyone that doesn't know the interaction back home, if Purple was to cast a spell now, it would give him a random priest spell, not a random mage spell. But Mind Blast is a priest spell.
Surprised he sent the 5 damage to the Drake, but I can understand why. He's thinking that the only way he wins this game is by having board presence.
And we think that he may still run a Medivh as well.
It's possible. Seeing the, of course, seeing the Firelands portals, seeing the Mana Worms.
Very weird list.
Yeah, it is, but this is where we are with Mage. I'm going to mention him
Weird.
again, but George C was saying that he took Mana Worms out because he didn't feel like he needed them, and that's why he was able to run the late game stuff.
Here's a game for those of you back home. What has happened more today? Has Dan mentioned George C. or mentioned a fact? Let us know.
Probably fact.
Which is more common? A Dan George C fact or a Dan geography fact?
Maybe I should, if the UK actually got far enough, I could have made facts about George
Oh,
C.
the shots!
Maybe next year.
All right, going to shuffle Jade Idol, going to wait on the Gadgetzan Auctioneer. Going to hope that... Oh my goodness! Earthen Scales having to go down. Okay, that's fine. I thought that for a second it was going down on the Primordial Drake to deal with Lyra. Unfortunately, with this play, Lyra survives.
Yeah, so, okay, this gets a little bit worrying. By leaving Lyra up is quite scary.
Though the cheapest spell Purple's got at the moment is Blizzard playable, but there's a Frostbolt. Oh my god, what is going on in this game?
So it does mean that you can Frostbolt face, you can ping the 4-1, you can then Blizzard, and then you can send an extra 5 damage to the face as well.
Yeah, but I think you Frostbolt face first and then... Or maybe you Frostbolt the 10-10 and then work out what you're going to do based on what you get. There's a Mind Blast! I said it could happen, and there it is! Potion of Madness not going to do anything. That's a bit of a shame for Purple. So going to bide his time and hope Lyra lives one more turn, which it will, because all Italy has left, I think, is pretty much the Jade Idols.
So all they can do is Jade up, right? And then you've got a Pyroblast that's coming next turn.
And Blizzard too. Just to freeze everything.
So you can Blizzard, freeze everything, send 5 damage to face, and then next turn you can Pyroblast plus use what's on the board. I think this is Purple's game.
I'm out of cards.
Oh, of course, the last card Youngster on, of course it is.
Kalidokali.
Of course it is. But that could change things, couldn't it?
It could change things. It's a risk.
It just needs to cast Holy Nova a few times. Greater Healing Potion on face, you know, it can happen.
It could change things. But that's the only way that they win now, right? Because Canada just play their cards right here.
Yogg can cast Earthen Scales too.
And there's a Fireball as well, so now you just Blizzard, send Fireball to face as well. Generate more spells, and you just win this game. You have a Pyroblast next turn, you've got Holy Nova. Yogg is your only hope if you are Italy. If you're an Italy fan...
Which I am. I mean, I'm not, but I am. Right, let's do this!
Yeah, an instant Yogg. You need to hope for damage to the opposition face. A Flare, of course. You want one of those as well.
Man.
But yeah, Purple's finding this hilarious because he knows this is the only way he loses. Pyroblast into your own face.
Oh,
nice. Yogg's dead. What a way to go out. And the unwinnable game, my co-caster
How
said.
has this happened? I just slammed my hands on the desk really hard. I'm sorry about that, but how did this happen?
Alex Straza happened.
And how much damage does Alex Straza connect the face with?
I think it was about 24 in the end.
Amazing. Well, congratulations, Purple. Looking very pleased with himself, and quite rightly so. I did say at the start of this game, if someone is going to be capable of piloting Freeze-ish Mage to victory here, Purple's our guy.
You know that turn when I was like, I wonder if he should Feral Rage and Wrath and kill off this Alexstrasza? And you were like, oh, yeah, but he'd take 8. He ended up taking about 24.
Yeah. I can't argue with this. You're absolutely right.
I'm not saying like that it's a play that shouldn't have happened.
You're
but
saying
it's something that
if you were on Team Italy, you'd have won that game.
If I was on Team Italy, Italy would never have got this far. So I don't need to make statements like that.
That's fair. The next up is going to be Hot Form versus Yawgmoth. It's going to be Shaman versus Warrior this time. Like another Priest being passed up, another Hunter being passed up. Very, very regular occurrence.
It is a very regular occurrence. Well, we say it's a regular occurrence, but Priest hasn't been passed up that often. Not as often as maybe we would have first thought. But instead, Shaman seems to be the go-to, and it is usually Evolve.
Yeah, I mean, Priest is one of the least selected decks in the first few weeks of the Hearthstone Global Games. Again, I don't have any data for this week just yet. I haven't gathered that for the last 2. Priest was picked 19 times, passed up 25 times. The most common number there was 26, where Druid and Mage and Warrior have all been picked 26 times. But Paladin and Shaman, just a little bit higher than that.
And we can see that at the Spring Championship this weekend, it's only one Priest that's been brought by X-Hope, and it's a Lyra combo Priest as well. But
it's got a Light Warden as well, right?
Yeah, that's why it's the combo, because of the Light Warden provides the combo, and that's how you deal all the damage and dish all the damage.
Okay, Dan, do you have one? Do you have one for us?
A fact?
It's got to be fact time.
I've got them if you want them.
I can't fight them anymore.
All right. Canada. 60% of polar bears live in Canada.
Where do the other 40 live?
40? What? Oh, 40%. All around the world.
The other
I was going to say, like, there's 25,000. 25,000 polar bears live in Canada.
Wow.
I don't know where the other 40% live. All around the world. What might be one in Poland, for all we know. Maybe we'll find out a little bit later.
just round the corner in the studio?
Quite possibly.
Hey, Dan. Time for a bear hug. Let's get on with the next game. It's going to be the Warrior versus the Shaman. Hot Form versus Yawgmoth.
Means I can save my next Italy fact as well.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You can just use them all at the end.
All right, thanks.
When Italy win.
Okay. Pirate Warrior then against Evolve Shaman, a deck that most people should... A matchup that most people should be familiar with by this point, because it is very common on ladder. 2 very successful decks to climb with, very quick to climb with.
I've never seen this matchup, Dan. Tell me how it goes. Okay, I've seen it a few times today, but tell me how it goes anyway.
Well, the important factors from the Shaman side is they have taunts. The thing from below can be very important. The 1 in 4 to roll a taunt totem can be very important.
We saw that.
He'll defend it.
We saw that win a game, I think, earlier today.
We did. We saw an Evolve Shaman win just because they were able to roll that taunt totem and then stabilize following.
Yawgmoth also rocking his Team Atrox jersey. So we only need to see now if Turner also plays for Atrox, and then we got the full set.
Are you making a collection?
Yep.
That's slightly worrying.
Yeah, got to collect all of the Italian players.
You're a big fanboy, and now you're collecting players as well, like little cards.
It's just my master plan in Hearthstone. You'll see.
All right, we will see.
It'll be too late, but you'll see.
Somewhat the perfect start, some might say, for Italy. But there is the consideration now of not attacking with the 1 damage, because next turn you have the option of upgrading, and it could be 2 damage across 4 turns, rather than just 2 damage across 3.
Yeah, it's much better upgrading when you've got a weapon, even if it's just an Azoth's First Mate Rusty Hook, than upgrading no weapon. It turns the 1-3 into a 2-4, upgrade it again, and it becomes an Assassin's Blade. So there's some good things to do there. Hot Form's opening hand is decent. Bloodsail Corsair will allow him to trade away one of these 1-1s, and he's got 2 Flame Tongue Totems.
I think I prefer Jade Claws, though. I like coining out Jade Claws because it puts a 1-1 on the board, and you can trade off 1, and then it fits really well with your curve next turn. You have the Bloodsail Corsair.
Yep. The fact that he started with both Flame Tongue Totems is very interesting as well. I don't think it's as important in this matchup, where Flame Tongue Totem itself doesn't do anything. But against these slightly slower matchups, which build up more of a board, the Flame Tongue Totem can just allow a board full of nothing to deal with a much bigger board.
A board full of everything.
A board full of everything.
I mean, Flame Tongue Totems are very important in the Shaman Mirror. They can often win you the game. However, you're completely right. They aren't as important, but they are still pretty important. I mean, being able to trade into something like a Frothing Berserker could be huge in this matchup. Killing off a Dread Corsair, so you can allow your other minions to bash through the rest. But Canada did rope. They took their whole turn considering that plan because there was warrant for just playing the Blood Cell Corsair as well. Because of a 1-2 would have that possibility of surviving. It's still a slim one, but now for Yawgmoth now, yeah, your deckhand into upgrade, relatively simple.
Yeah, I mean, what else does he do this turn? Armor up? I don't think so. Southie deckhand, upgrade the weapon. Nothing worth holding on to the upgrade for, unfortunately, at the moment. Can hit patches in if he wants to. I think I prefer just hitting the weapon in. Or do you go face here ever?
You kill off the 1-1 with your weapon. You keep the deckhand alive, of course. You force the potential Jade Claws to take another 2 damage.
I was just thinking, it's not really worth playing around Flame Tongue Totem because all of your minions only have 1 health anyway, but you're right, it still ends up being better making the trade, even in spite of that. Weapon going to make short work of this Blood Cell Corsair, and there's a Frothing Berserker in hand, which Hot Form will not be able to deal with.
No, it's a Frothing Berserker that's going to become a 3-4 as well, thanks to the trade.
Yeah.
And now we're just going to have to see potential Manatite Totem, which is really not... Oh, well, you're definitely going to see Manatite Totem now. That's really not going to help you in the tempo game.
Hot Form needs to pick up a Jade Lightning, right? That's the I think that's the only card I can think of that deals with this Frothing Berserker really easily. Gonna have to hope for the best. Frothing Berserker is just gonna chew through Hot Form's other minions. Maelstrom Portal isn't enough on its own.
Now you can just Fiery War Axe instead. Take out that totem, play the Blood Cell Raider as well, and then send 4 damage to face.
It does seem better. It's a shame to have to waste this last charge of the Rusty Hook. But the maths works perfectly. Yawgmoth gonna trade the Frothing in, play a slightly slower game, but make the most of his weapon.
Yeah, he's just saying the damage is going to count overall, and it's fine. The only thing that will punish him would be a Jade Lightning. But I guess that would have punished him anyway.
I'm not sure. I'd need to do the maths on that and spend a little bit more time. Not sure how much extra damage in total he gets from doing it this way around. But obviously, Team Italy decide that's the best way to go. Hot Form still not picking up a Jade Lightning. No way of dealing with the 5-3 either. It's just going to have to pop up a taunt in the way, it looks like. And that's not an ideal play either.
Stonehill Defender is just going to soak up a little bit of damage. It's also going to buff up this Frothing Berserker as well.
He'll get a 1-mana taunt. It's fine. Just
all right. How does it? Okay, we asked this question in the last game. How did Canada win? Because at the moment things are looking pretty grim.
There we go.
Well, there we go. A Devolve can certainly help.
That helps them a lot because I imagine Yawgmoth just go straight ahead and drop this Frothing Berserker. No reason to hold on to it unless he is playing around Devolve.
And of course, Devolve into Maelstrom Portal can be good. It, of course, depends what comes out of the Devolve, but 2 drops quite often, as you have told me.
As I've said quite a few times yesterday, they quite often have 1 health, yeah.
But meanwhile...
Nice that you're picking things up for me, Dan.
Yeah, I do listen to you from time to time.
I feel a little bit like a mentor. No,
but
I mean, really don't.
Even if you go for the Devolve here, if there isn't stuff that if you can't kill everything, you're in a bad spot.
Okay, that 1 drop has 1 health, but the 2 drops... One of those cards has 7 health. It's quite different from 1.
Yeah, and okay, you're not dead next turn. Not quite. It's actually 1-off lethal for Yawgmoth.
Now, although there's a useless 1-shot there for Hot Form, although the Public Defender itself isn't going to do anything for the Pirate Warrior.
Lethal. Oh, baby!
Okay. I was going to say what it is going to do is protect Italy's minions. If he decides to play the Leroy here, Public Defender will block anything from being able to deal with it. But the fact that this is lethal does seem more relevant.
Yeah, it just needed 1 damage in the end. An upgrade would have done it as well. Italy are going to take a 2-1 lead now.
Yes.
1 game away from heading towards the last 16. And meanwhile, they would be sending Canada out of the competition.
Wow, that's a huge accolade to have. Canada, if I think way back to the beginning of Stage 1, I think in their first 3 series, they dropped 1 game or something absurd like that. They had a fantastic game record at the start of the Hearthstone Global Games. It would be sad to see them eliminated like this in Stage 2 without winning a single series. So.
I mean, the worrying factor is Canada have now lost 2 games, and even if they were to win 3-2, it doesn't look like they're in a great position either, but that would come down to tiebreakers. And that's the thing that we've got to think about, because Canada, the fact that they've got such an amazing squad, and for them to be falling... Okay, we've seen it happen before. We've seen Russia eliminated. Russia had an amazing squad as well, but it would be a shame, but that remains to be seen. We still have 1 more game for them to try and redeem themselves It's going to be Cydonia versus Turner, and it's Shaman versus Paladin, Dan.
Cydonia, a bit of an all-star as well. He's the guy that I've heard a lot of people say does a lot of the work for Team Canada. He's a guy that's really been making waves recently. His performance at BlizzCon last year. He's now part of TSM. He's a big, popular guy in the Hearthstone scene. He's someone that's really going to want to win this.
Absolutely. I mean, who wouldn't want to win this is the real question. I mean, this is the Hearthstone Global Games. Get down to the last 16. What a thing to put on your resume would be if you were to win the Hearthstone Global Games.
Our country is just the best team in the world.
It's a pretty good thing to have on your CV.
I mean, imagine, right? The players on the team that win, they're going to get more tournament invites from different places that maybe hadn't heard of them before even. There's going to be a lot that goes right for these countries. They all want to win. And although Team Canada already have a lot going for them, Cydonia already a very popular player, he's in it for the respect, you know? He wants to prove that he's got his name for a reason and he's consistent.
Should we go for a final fact of the day?
You've only got one left?
I mean, potentially the final fact of the day. If it's the last game, like, and it'll be quite touching for you if it's Italy as well. So I'll give you an Italian fact. So China may have invented fireworks, but actually Italy made them colourful.
Really?
Yeah, they found out if you put metallic powders into fireworks, you can create different colours. So calcium creates orange, sodium creates yellow, and you can thank the Italians for making a nice, pretty bonfire night.
Where do you get these facts down? What colour were the Chinese ones? Just white?
I imagine they were just, just a normal colour, yeah.
Normal colour.
Yeah, just white, just an average, rather than the bright reds, oranges, and yellows that we see as we go into potentially the final game of the day, potentially the final game of Canada's...
Canada? The final game of Canada's career in the Hearthstone Global Games.
Potentially the last game of Canada's Global Games. They need to be able to win this one if they want to keep any hopes. They are slim hopes, though, because even if they were to win 3-2, there are tiebreakers, and their tiebreaker might not look that great. So, Wild Pyromancer, a fantastic way to deal with early aggression from Shaman, but you need something to use alongside it.
It's a heavy indicator that it's a more control-y Paladin as well. Now, me and Lorinda were talking about this matchup in the previous series, and what we were saying is that actually it can be hard for the Paladin to not just die in the first few turns. If the Paladin does survive and get to the point where they're playing Primordial Drakes and Tyrians and N'Zoths and that kind of thing, then it's very hard for the Shaman to ever get through. But in the early game, the Shaman can just steamroll the Paladin.
And steamroll is what you're going to have to do, but no early aggression available for Italy. They do have the Doppelgangster into Evolve Wombo combo a little bit later on, but it's a scary combo to put on the board when you are going up against a Control Paladin that does have Pyromancer into Equality. And it's a Control Paladin that has both Hydrologists as well as Wicker Flame, so that's a pretty good way to stem any early aggression from the Shaman.
Not that there is any early aggression from the Shaman. There's no Firefly in hand. They've got the Flame Totem, that's great, but there's no Firefly, there's no Primal Fin Totem, which would be great for starting to set off these resources. Turner has nothing he can play this turn unless he wants to hero power into a Flame Tongue Totem, which he may feel as though he has to in case this is an aggressive Paladin.
Now, either... I was about to say something very exciting had happened and he was just gawping at his screen.
He's gone.
But unfortunately,
Thrall has come to take his place.
Yeah, Thrall is there, and instead he's going to intimidate me with his eyes. But as we can see by the turn ending, it does still mean he is there. It's just a disconnection for his webcam.
Doomsayer as well. Cydonia seems to have all of the tools that he needs to stem the early game, if Turner even had one. All Turner's going to need to do is drop a few minions on the board, maybe over turn 2 and turn 3. Cydonia then drops the Doomsayer, and I think that's that. I don't see... it's going to be a very difficult game for Italy to win this. Let's put it that way.
An extremely difficult game for Italy to win, but we've already said in this series there have been there's been games that we thought were unwinnable or close to unwinnable. I say we, and I'm going to paint it as
I would never say that, Dan. I would never say that about a matchup.
I
wonder indeed. So, there's nothing to offer from Turner for his early
Just going to coin out the Manatide Totem. He needs to pick up more stuff. And hey, there is the chance that Cydonia won't be able to deal with this. there's Patches the Pirate. So at least it's something that Turner can use to attack with next turn. Maybe with the Flame Tongue Totem. Sidonia can't actually deal with this Hydrologist, not unless he wants to drop Wild Pyromancer and a Secret, but then he's maybe wasting his Wild Pyromancer. I think this Mana Tide Totem does get to survive a few turns.
Should I?
I'm trying to think where Italy can actually get back into this game, because at some point they need to build up a board. But I'm struggling to think
They do
how.
need to do that, yeah.
Yeah.
That is part of the Shaman's game plan in winning this. So Sidonia, he's got to make the trade, but he feels really sad about it. Stonehill Defender is probably the play from him this turn, but these guys are really taking their time. They've both got kind of a clunky hand, especially Italy. They're taking their time to make sure they want to go the way they want to go with it. Sunkeeper Tareem, not necessarily the strongest card against the Shaman, because often the Shaman has a wide board, and Tareem is not good against wide boards whatsoever. Firefly pickup from Italy there, finally, but it's a little bit late.
Oh, look, just a tad.
Just a tad.
Yeah, just a tad.
Just two
Too
turns
late.
too late, yeah. Firefly turn 1 is what this Shaman thrives off of into Flame Tongue Totem turn 2, but it just hasn't happened.
But how long will this game go on is the real question, because when is Sidonia and Canada going to be able to start pushing some real damage and some real threat? Because it's all well and good them having the answers, but they also need to start trying to win the game themselves.
It's going to be really hard for Italy to maintain their resources, because Canada have got kind of a lot of nothing on the board, but their lot of nothing is able to deal with Italy's lot of nothing quite nicely. Canada eventually just outvalue Italy. That's the thing with this matchup. So Turner needs to be very careful with the way he uses his resources, and even then, it's going to be difficult for him to gauge what is overextending, what is not putting enough onto the board. Now, second Hydrologist, more nothing. That Sidonia just doesn't matter to him if Italy deal with it. He's just putting more stuff, gathering more resources, and setting up for the late game.
But I mean, meanwhile, we are seeing a board start to be built up from Italy. They're starting to get a few minions that are sticking here and there.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, you're right. The fact he's made 2 minions stick on the board, that's a pretty big deal. He's got a lot more left in his hand. He just needs to be very careful about how he uses them. As we can see, there is a Pyromancer in Sidonia's hand, but no spells. He's used both secrets. No spells, no equality, no consecration. It's actually difficult for Sidonia to clear the board here without using Doomsayer. So Turner could even maybe afford to go all in and not be punished too much. There is actually a redemption and a getaway Kodo, so there's no noble sacrifice there for Canada. But he's able to, whatever minion dies gets revived and then put back in his hand too. So his value isn't coming to an end anytime soon.
Yeah, okay, you may have to use Flame Tongue plus Patches here, but then you're worried about what the secret could be.
Oh, I was worrying for a second.
A little bit of a flippy floppy.
Okay, so on one hand, glass half full, at least there was no noble sacrifice. Glass half empty, it doesn't matter because the minion gets redeemed anyway. Patches is going to have to trade into it one more time, if there's time for it. It looks like he did sequence all of the plays and also get the Flame Elemental down there. Okay, alright. Mini heart attack. We're fine. We're fine. Turner's fine. Italy, fine.
So Stonehill Defender once again, just to look for a little bit more value. You could have played Wicker Flame if you would have liked to as well. I guess the way that Sidonia loses this game is if he blows his removal a little bit early. If he panics too much about a board,
Yep.
and then we see Turner use Double Gangster into Evolve.
Yeah, you're right.
Or-
I've talked a lot about how Sidonia wins, but you're right. That is probably how they lose.
If he doesn't draw Equality, and then we see some disgusting Double Gangster into Evolve happen, and then they struggle to deal with it. I mean, Sunkeeper Tarim is, of course, a good way to deal with it in most cases, if it's 3 cans. then that's not so fun.
The further into this game we go, also, the more useless the Doomsayer is, because not only do Italy build up a big enough board and enough removal in the hand to get rid of it, but there's more of a chance of the Devolve being there. As we can see, the Devolve is there. If Italy had a Maelstrom Portal, I think they'd probably consider the Devolve here, because Devolve Maelstrom Portal would, most of the time, clear at least 3 out of these 4 minions. But Turner, no Maelstrom Portal present, and another awkward turn for him. He can hero power Firefly thing from below, but then he's going quite all in, and if there is an equality, then he gets quite punished by that. I think he does have to drop the J claws here and get through that Stonehill defender finally. But nothing he does looks like it's enough.
The worry about using Jade Claws is it means you can't double gangster evolve next turn.
Ooh. Oh, that's not a good devolve for Turner. Yeah, okay, the one of the one drops turned into a 1-1, but the other one turned into a 2-3. Rockpool Hunter, a 2-mana 2-3, that's not bad either. That's pretty good stats.
A 2-3 that can also trade into this thing from below as well. So it's not even like the 2-3 is going to survive and they can't play a minion to go along with it.
Yeah.
And they're just going to be able to kill it off.
There's the Consecration. That's an extra board clear that will deal with a lot of the small things that Italy are going to be putting out over the course of this game. And this is the problem. The later in we get, the more board clears Canada are going to get. They're going to have Consecrations, Primordial Drakes, Pyromancers to play with other spells. And none of them have even been necessary yet. That Spike Ridge Steed has made Rockpool Hunter absolutely huge. Doppelgangster Evolve is Turner's only option here, and he's just got to hope that Sardonia has no way of removing this board. And oh, that's a board.
Yeah, it's a decent board, and this is what I was saying. If there's no equality, then it means you're forced to use Sunkeeper Tarim, but then you're still going to be leaving some 3/3s on the board. By some, I mean 3.
Actually buffing one of the minions as well. Doomsayer has to be worth considering here. Your Rockpool Hunter has Taunt. When it dies, it spits out another Taunt in the form of the Staggadon. A Devolve has been used. So as far as Canada are concerned, there is a chance that this Doomsayer does proc. If he Doomsayers and maybe drops another Taunt, maybe the Wicker Flame Burn Bristle, then maybe it does just proc. It would take one trade to get rid of the Rockpool Hunter with the 5/5 say. The 6/5 goes into the Staggadon. Alright, gonna go with the Tarim route that you mentioned instead.
And as you said, it's buffing one of those minions up.
Yeah. It works out, though, for the most part. I can't believe Italy are actually getting a handle on the board here, though. Doppelgangster Evolve, we don't see the combo played that often, and we don't see it impact the board that often, but this game has shown how effective the combo can be.
So at least you can trade off into this Stegodon and keep 2 minions alive still. I'm trying to think of a way you can actually remove this whole board.
No Flame Totem present, no Devolve, no Bloodlust. It's tricky. Let's see what the... I mean, you want to see what the Shimmering Tempest gets you, ideally. Maybe you start by trading that into the Sunkeeper Tarim.
Yep. You could go down that route.
Maybe it gets you a Pyroblast. Maybe it gets you a Flame Strike. Nope, gonna keep it alive. Make the value trades. If he's now trading in the Menagerie Warden, though, then that seems like a slight mistake.
No, I don't think he will. I think he'll leave this on the board, but it's how much does he want to commit is the real question. He knows there's no equality, otherwise the equality probably would have been played. I guess he doesn't know for sure, but he can have some sort of idea about it. Still no equality available, but there is another Sunkeeper Tarim. However, you don't want to be buffing all those 3/1s back to 3/3s and the 1/1 up to a 3/3.
So many Sunkeeper Tarims in this game, but just not... I said this right at the start when Cydonia got the first one from the Stonehill Defender. Sunkeeper Tarim just isn't great in this matchup. It's not great against a wide board. And that's what this matchup does. It makes wide boards. Wide, weak boards. It's like a permanent Flame Tongue Totem buff on everything your opponent has. It's not what you want.
Options.
Consecration plus trading in Tarim into the 5/5 is reasonable. it leaves Turner with only the Menagerie Warden alive. In fact, he can then true Silver Champion and trade into that. So it's not like Sidonia is in a tough spot here. He definitely has options. Looks like that may be the play he goes. Oh, Pyromancer? Nope, okay, you're going to equip the true Silver Champion, as I thought. And yeah.
It's just a case of removal after removal after removal, which is what we expected from Canada when we saw their opening hand. Another evolve would be brilliant for Italy to try and reload this again.
I think having an evolve now would be maybe even their only hope. Let's see. If Turner can set up for a cheeky Bloodlust soon, that could work. Jade Claws, equip the Jade Claws, drop the Primal Fin Totem, play Forbidden Flame to get rid of Tarim. True Silver Champion still gets rid of the Primal Fin Totem. Both Fireflies plus Primal Fin Totem plus Forbidden... I wonder... Do you think the Forbidden Flame has to come down here and deal with that Tarim? That's what I'm trying to get my head around at the moment. We got him, boys.
Wow, is there a consideration that you actually just played Doppelgangster here just to get as much on the board?
Thing is, playing Firefly and Primal Fin Totem puts just as much on the board. Nope, we are going to go with the Forbidden Flame like I thought. Okay. Not really put anything worthwhile for the True Silver Champion to trade into, so just trying to bit by bit build up this board, but now Double Doomsayer might even be tempting. Like, why not if you're Sidonia? Turner's hand is really shrinking down. Curator, that works. Primordial Drake, oh dear.
Ruler as well.
Yeah, well, I don't think there are any pirates left for Italy, but we're getting to that stage where Primordial Drake just does its business, right? It just sits on the board, destroys all the cheap guys, blocks everything else. Italy have been struggling along through this entire game so far, and now it only gets harder. They need this evolve right now, and that's not it. Second Primal Fin Totem. No way of dealing with the Curator either, unless he wants to burn the Bloodlust. That's the worst part. Jade Claws plus the 3 minions on the board is only 5 damage. So that Curator is just going to sit there and block everything. To make things worse, Primordial Drake is ready to go. So yeah, I think Turner correctly acknowledging that he has to play the Bloodlust. Has to start making these trades. It's still just not a good board that he ends up with. And that True Silver Champion's still there.
And he's just running out of cards as well. And this is what happens in this matchup so often. You just face removal after removal after removal. You run out of things to do, and then you just end up hoping for a Doppelgangster into evolve. And quite often it's a Doppelgangster into evolve that just doesn't arrive.
Well, that just happened.
Primordial Drake, as always, shutting down a token-based deck very comfortably. Still no evolve present for Italy as well. But the thing is, because this Control Paladin is so control-based, we're struggling to see Canada finish off this game. So they have to just play the long game as well. They just have to wait and see what Italy put on the board and try and build some sort of presence. At least they've got stuff they can finally put on the board now next turn. They've got Spike Ridge Steed as well to start pushing some damage to face. Not allow Doppelgangster Evolve to be a possibility.
I don't think there are any possibilities left for Turner. There's the Maelstrom Portal that I mentioned a few turns ago that would have been great then. But barely touching that Primordial Drake. Italy kind of want to play Primal Fin Totem, but it just dies to True Silver Champion.
Okay, so whilst we're in a little bit of a lull, and we know really that Canada...
I don't think that Italy is saying lull.
They're definitely not saying lull. However, Canada coming back, probably tying this up to 2-2. Whilst I can take a little bit of time to talk about the table then.
Okay.
Let's say Canada were to win this series 3-2. They would actually come second in their group.
Oh.
Of course, on tiebreaker. Their tiebreaker would be better than Italy's, but Italy's tiebreaker would be better than Argentina's.
Okay.
So Italy would go through as the best third-place finisher.
Ah,
so there is potential that both of these teams still go through.
A happy ending for...
However,
Oh dear, where's this going?
if Italy went 3-2, then that's what Argentina are going to be hoping for.
Okay, so happy ending for Argentina and Italy if Italy win the next game. Happy ending for these two teams if Canada will. Well, I don't care, Italy's through. I can just wave the flag. I'm happy.
It means I can confirm that Ukraine are through as a third-place finisher.
Okay.
Belgium are through as a third-place finisher. Taiwan are through as a third-place finisher. So what we're left with is Argentina umming and ahhing, hoping that it's going to be a victory for Italy. However, if Canada win, we're going to see Canada and Italy both go through. So this last game, a massive game for the teams on board. Apex Void versus Snowman. What a way to finish the day, going to a Game 5.
Snowman very likely to melt with the Mage and all the fiery spells that Mage tend to have. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm very happy now. You've told me my team's already through, so I'm taking a breather. I'm sure Italy, if they've done all of the maths, which they will have done, are also taking a breather. But Snowman's still going to want to win this one. APX Void needs to win this.
Now, of course, this is just information coming from my own head and my own calculations.
Oh,
it's not
dear.
an official
Disregard
statement.
everything.
No, of course, it's not an official statement, but I am pretty sure I've looked into the rules enough to be able to calculate the tiebreakers, but just take what I say with a little bit of a pinch of salt.
Okay.
It's very much easier if Italy win this series. If Italy win this series,
easier for them. Yeah.
it's clear cut, and I don't have to worry about tiebreakers. But yeah, that's the calculations that we've made. But anyway, let's get into this Game 5 then. Warrior versus Mage, Dan. Mage, we've spoke so much about Mage today because Mage is in this spot of you could put anything into Mage and it just seems to be good.
After we saw Purple's Mage beat the J Druid, I don't know what to expect anymore. I had Mana Worm and Freeze Mage, and I'd love to speak to him about that list because I just don't understand it.
Well, I mean, it's because we're in this spot where Discover Mage is fantastic, so now people are putting elements from Secret Mage into Discover Mage, and then people are trying to do the same with Freeze and Discover Mage, and we've got like 45 cards that are just great.
Soon we'll have a mix of all three decks, and then because there'll be one of everything, we'll just stick a Kazakus in as well. You'd like that.
We can just call it Mage.
Now, I know that you were going to talk about Warrior there, because you were about to say, yeah, we've talked about Mage all day, let's talk about Warrior. And I just cut you off.
You did?
Started talking about Mage. But this is going to be a Quest Warrior from APX Void. Now, I don't think we've seen many Quest Warriors this week.
We've seen a lot of Pirate Warriors,
We have.
to be honest.
And actually, my memory of the last few weeks of Pirate Warrior have been that Pirate Warrior has been underperforming. It's quite often not quite been getting over the finish line.
And the finish line is something that Canada really need to get over in this last game. In the HGT next weekend, 5 Taunt Warriors, 5 Pirate Warriors.
I was just about to check, but 50-50 exactly. Okay, so the HCT players have pretty much reached the same conclusion we have, where the decks are pretty much even in popularity, even in skill, even in how good they are in the meta. And Snowman has Mana Worm and Doomsayer in his opening hand. I just don't know. I just don't know anymore, Dan.
No, this is where we are, and it's an entertaining place to be in, to be honest. There's another Doomsayer, which actually isn't going to be particularly helpful. Italy wouldn't have wanted to draw on that, but it does mean they're not going to draw later into it, and they should draw more significant minions. Now, Warrior, similarly to Druid, can gain armor. Armor can be a problem for Mage, but Alexstrasza, already in the hand, can be great on turn 9. If you can get Medivh out, if you can get some damage on the board, if you can get those minions just chipping away at the life total, then you can be in a very good position against the Quest Warrior.
Very nice draw off the top there, the Arcanologist. APX Void properly just rolled his eyes at that. He would get the 2-drop off the top. Then Ice Barrier into Medivh's Valet is going to be a very strong sequence for Snowman. Acolyte of Pain worth considering as well. It's annoying for him that he can't just straight trade off the Acolyte. I wonder if he considers playing Ice Barrier and playing the coin just to buff up the Mana Worm and get a straight trade with the Acolyte. Just using up the coin just to buff the Mana Worm.
I mean, it is good being able to stop your opponent from drawing cards, Dan.
That is good. That is a good strategy. But drawing cards yourself, also a pretty good strategy.
I also like keeping the coin, because for something a little bit more advantageous later.
The other thing is that next turn, Snowman can play Ice Barrier, coin, Medivh's Valet, hit with the 3 burst damage.
3 burst damage, they might send to face as well, quite possibly.
Might well do that. There's a lot of armor building up for Canada, though, especially now he's picked up the Armor Smith.
Yeah, this is the worry, and this is the position you find yourself in with Mage against Taunt Warrior, is now they do run double shield block. They do run the Armor Smiths, and the Armor Smiths can be put on a pretty big board and combined with Whirlwinds, Ravaging Ghouls, And you then have to deal with those armor smiths. So you waste burn damage that you would have liked to put to face. Like a Firelance Portal, for example, or a Fireball. Sometimes you have to use on an armor smith because otherwise they're just going to generate too much armor.
Right. Now... So Ice Barrier, Coin, Medivh's Valet also buffs the Mana Worm to a 3/2. Deals 3 damage, so he could deal the 3 damage to the Bloodhoof Brave there, hit the Mana Worm into it, finish off the Acolyte with the Arcanologist, and then hit face with his own Acolyte. Though that does mean using up the Mana Worm, essentially. I think it's a good play, though. Maybe... the other way that Italy can do it is that they can trade in the Acolyte first into Bloodhoof Brave.
Okay.
Trade in the Arcanologist, then Ice Barrier, Coin, Medivh's Valet to finish off the Bloodhoof Brave, trade in the Mana Worm into the Acolyte, and it means that survives. They're the 2 slightly different ways that he can play this turn. And it looks like that's the way Snowman's decided to go, the second thing that I said.
That's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yes.
Some might
A
say.
wise man once, yeah.
He was a very wise man.
Excuse me, you
Some may say the wisest.
Unfortunately for Italy, there is an Ali Armor Smith that can now be plopped onto the board as well.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
There is, but that Mana Worm is slowly but surely getting out of control. 2 Brawls picked up for APX Void, one after the other. That's not bad, and Execute's not bad this turn either. There's a lot of valuable plays that Canada can consider.
Yeah, I'm not adverse to shield block execute, to be honest. I mean, what other targets are you going to be executing, really? Alex Straza is one, potentially Medivh.
The one thing I would say about shield block is that you might prefer to play it when your health's a little bit lower, because it means that it's less vulnerable to the Alex Straza. If you wait till your health gets lower, then shield block. Because the thing is, here, if you shield block, then all of the damage you take, it's permanent damage, because the Alex Straza then does the rest of the work for you.
That's a fair point.
So, I also like playing shield block when you've got a taunt up already to then protect the armor as well. Armor is far more valuable than health in this matchup, is the point that I'm ultimately trying to make here.
And it's a very valid point that you're making.
So, if he's playing Execute, I guess it's Execute. I don't know. This turn sucks. I was saying there's a lot of good options for him, but they're all bad.
Oh, wow,
Gonna end up brawling, which again, it feels pretty bad against 3 minions.
It does, but again, what else are you going to be brawling against? Really? I mean, if you're worried about Medivh, then yes, okay, you're going to be needing that a little bit later.
I don't know what to expect against this deck. I have literally no idea.
It's very hard to play against Mage in this current state of the meta.
Obviously, HCT will be a little bit different because the deck lists are open.
Correct.
So it makes a big difference during the gameplay. With the Hearthstone Global games, deck lists are closed. The players do not know the lists each other are playing, therefore they have to kind of play around everything. Whereas in HCT, that you'll be watching this weekend on this channel, the players will have perfect knowledge of what they're playing against, and they'll be able to make better plays across the board because of it.
Do you know what? Something I'm really excited for
What?
is finals. The reason why I'm excited for finals is because you know how much we enjoy when players are gathered together.
Hearthstone Global Games final.
Yeah, the Hearthstone Global Games finals, not the Spring Championship finals, sorry. we enjoy it when the players are gathered together in the same room because we can see their animations, but come finals, when we're going to be in the same room as them.
Oh, that would be cool.
Like, we're able to hear them, of course, probably speaking a different language in some aspects, but that's going to be awesome to see all the players gathered together.
I'm excited for that too, Dan. We can actually feel the sense of celebration from them and actually pat them on the back ourselves.
I don't know if that'll be appropriate.
Maybe not.
From the caster desk.
Okay.
Not sure you're allowed. I know you're trying to pocket these Italy players, trying to collect them,
And
as it were.
their coins.
And
Maybe that's, yeah.
yep. Okay, let's avoid that then.
No, the Canadian
Yep.
coins.
Shh, shh, shh. You're not having a 1 million coin. It's not going to happen.
Or the ones from the True Fountain.
You can, if you want to go to Rome and you want to start diving around in a fountain, you'll probably get arrested, but you might be able to collect about 20 euros.
It's one of the reasons I need the Italian players to win, right? So they can pop by Rome, collect some euros for me, come on over. That's the plan.
So meanwhile, Italy's still searching for more answers, getting so much value out of these acolytes.
Use Valet as well.
Yeah, oh,
There is a mouse appearing.
mouse card, he's always scared of cards as well, I've
Dan,
noticed.
I gotta tell you a secret.
What's the secret?
Earlier on, when you and Lorinda were casting a game,
Yeah.
I was mouse guy.
No.
I erupted the volcano, yeah.
Man.
Felt good.
I don't know if I'm proud or disappointed.
Might be Lorinda right now.
No, Lorinda doesn't know how to erupt the volcano.
That's true, that's true.
He admitted that yesterday. He said he doesn't know the sequence. I feel it's something you have to learn as a Hearthstone player.
Yeah. Helps you win, right?
So with the trades that Italy made, it meant that they weren't going to use that fireball onto the Daihon hatchling, but Italy are getting to this position now where they have to use all of their damage to face, we would have thought. They don't want to be wasting too much of the damage, but there is an Ali Armor Smith, and Ali Armor Smiths are pretty annoying.
This is why last turn was so difficult, because if Snowman wanted to get rid of that Daihon hatchling, he'd have had to play a Fireball, and that feels very, very wasteful. However, as you said, Ali Armor Smiths, especially against Mage, are very, very annoying, and so pinging that away and Fireballing it might be necessary. Unfortunately, Doomsayer Blizzard is still 1 mana too expensive. If there was a Frost Nova, I think that would be considered. I wonder if Italy just start this turn with a Primordial Glyph and dig, see what they can discover.
Dig, dig, dig.
It's that or Fireball, really. Fireball trade Medivh's Valet actually does allow Snowman to clear the whole board. Yeah, it does give APX Void some armor, but it also draws him a card and puts him the Medivh's Valet on the board. Maybe that is the way to go.
What to do? What to do?
Yeah. Oh, no, okay, not going to play the Medivh's Valet, just going to ping. Sure.
Yeah, I think you just have to get rid of the Ali Armor Smith. It feels bad wasting 6 damage, but that is also potentially, what, 6 armor coming through from the Armor Smith if it's able to hit you in consecutive turns.
Okay, getting to the point now where that warrior, the amount of health and armor it's got is getting a bit frustrating. I think Italy have done a great job of not wasting their damage on the face when they're going to allow Alexstrasza to do most of the work later.
Yep.
The fact that APX Void's only taken 3 damage properly means that Alexstrasza is going to deal 12, which is very, very valuable.
It is, but as you rightly touched upon earlier, that shield block is going to get some value. We imagine there's another shield block in there as well, so that's potentially 10 more armor. And then the Armor Smith is still there, and you have a Ravaging Ghoul and a Primordial Drake. And you may be able to get out of range, and maybe, just maybe, out of nowhere, Canada are going to be able to pip a position in this last 16.
I'll tell you the truth, Dan. I find it hard to keep up with Quest Warrior lists nowadays, but I'm pretty sure having Shield Block and Armor Smith isn't common at the moment.
I mean, from my own experience, it's very common.
Okay. I could just be completely wrong. I thought that Armor Smith was the way people were going now and not so much Shield Block, but...
like, I'm talking the last week, it's been very common.
It's strong against Mage. I mean, we can go that far.
And I feel like that's the reason why, because there has been so much Mage, especially through ladder anyway, it's been very common.
No, the reason I said that is because I was wondering if this was maybe a specific target, if Canada put that there, ready for the ace match, and we're going to try and target the Mage specifically.
Quite possibly.
But their other pick was Warlock, so I guess they wouldn't have, they didn't have all the... It wasn't a great position for targeting.
I feel like it's been very difficult to target throughout the global games.
Yeah. Stansifka did a great job of it.
We've had teams try and we've had teams succeed, but we've also had teams try and teams fail.
Yeah.
It's been a very interesting format, one that it's taken a while for both players and spectators to get used to. I mean, the blind pick variant, and casters to get used to. The blind pick variant has made it a very different style of Hearthstone tournament. But it has been somewhat refreshing as well.
So now Italy go ahead and play the double Doomsayer turn, which is really annoying for Canada. Because the amount of removal that APX Void is going to have to use if he wants to get rid of this, I mean, it's both executes. Plain and simple. I don't think he can... Well, he could Brawl. He could Brawl and execute one. Brawl, try and get the Primordial Drake to win, but that's such a... That's dicing with death, that.
It is turn 9 next turn for Italy, though.
Well, so that's why the double Doomsayer happened, so that they can then just play Alex on curve and try and smack the face with it. APX Void going to start with Armor Smith, Ravaging Ghoul, and then...
Yeah.
Oh, I guess he could War Axe and execute. He doesn't actually need to double execute.
Yeah, exactly that. Get rid of the Doomsayers, not allow an Alexstrasza to be put onto a naked board.
That is frustrating for Snowman, who may want to just go ahead and get rid of this Armor Smith now with Violence Portal.
And that feels awful to do so, but That's exactly what I said earlier. I think you'd use Medivh's Valet if you were gonna remove it in this situation.
Oh yeah, of course. So you can play Medivh's Valet with Firelands Portal, or draw some cards with it, which is a viable option. Unfortunately, Firelands Portal doesn't quite do enough to the Primordial Drake. Medivh's Valet Fireball Ping is an option, but then you're wasting your burn damage on minions still.
But you're okay with wasting a little bit of burn damage still because Alexstrasza's not come out. But then you've got to be... The thing is, Italy will know exactly what's in their deck. This is the difference, right? They can calculate what's left, how much potentially they could have as well. You always count Primordial Glyph as a possible 10 in case you draw Pyroblast. So they'll know at what point they need to switch up and just decide to send damage to face. And it looks like that decision is now.
Okay. So unfortunately, the Alexstrasza can just be traded into. In fact, these trades can gain EPX Void.
I don't even think
more
you need
armor.
to trade though. You can just Primordial Drake into Execute.
Yeah.
You can generate all that armor and then you can send
too.
all this damage to face.
Yeah. I'm wondering how much you value keeping the Armorsmith healthy. Probably not. I think you're right. I think Primordial Drake and Execute's the best way to do it. I'm wondering if trading in the Ravaging Ghoul and executing works just because it keeps the Armorsmith at 3, so it's unpingable and doesn't die to a blizzard.
Alright, it does, but then you're not putting as much of a threat on the board. And
Yeah.
the last thing you want to give the mage is time.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't think it's a case of being right or wrong. I think it's a matter of...
With Hearthstone, it's always a case
I
of
think
being
it's a
right
matter
or
of what you feel is better as a player and your play style.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. You gain 3 more armor in the process. You can... Oh, he could trade in the minions and armor up as well. Looks like that's the way he's going to go.
Yeah, gain even more armor
Whoa.
by doing so.
Well, Alexstrasza tried, but we're back up to 26 health for Canada.
Blood Mage Thalnos does help get through.
Again, this is a weird deck. Thalnos, Firelands Portal, Doomsayers, Mana Worms.
So now you ping off the Armorsmith. You don't let it live. You don't want to let it get any more value. You've got 3 more damage from Medivh's Valet. You've got a Fireball, you've got Firelands Portal. Potentially a Pyroblast in this deck. Another Glyph still as well. So there is still a potential for another, like, what, 32 damage? If not more, 35 with the Medivh's Valet as well.
Oh yeah, I mean these mages can come up with all sorts of damage. Firelands Portal can grab you a Leroy. That's another 6 damage. Who knows?
That was one of the only outs for a game earlier.
Yeah. There's the Frost Nova. Too late now with the Doomsayers gone though. Doesn't do as much and does nothing against the Ragnaros hero power. It's the reason that Ragnaros himself was always so strong against Freeze Mage. He cannot be frozen. That's enough from you, Armorsmith, says Snowman.
So in some situations, we've seen Firelands Portal go onto the Drake, and yep, it's happening again. The way you win this game is by getting a board, and by being able to send damage to face from your board. That's why Medivh is so good against the likes of Druid, against the likes of Warrior, and that's why we're seeing Firelands Portal not being used to face.
So do you think this will have a Medivh? Or would
Or
would you expect to see Antonidas? It's very hard to tell.
I mean, Medivh typically is the go-to at the moment from what I've seen of the later decks of Mage. But Blood Mage Thalnos makes me change my decision slightly. There are so many possibilities for Mage though, so that's why it's all well and good us umming and ahhing and guessing, and sometimes just having the deck list would be a lot easier, but it is also really fun to try and work out what the deck is.
I completely agree. Personally, I've always preferred casting games where I haven't seen the deck list because I like to go on and be surprised with everyone else watching.
Have you ever casted a game with deck lists, like out of interest?
Yeah,
because I had that for the first time at DreamHack.
Right.
The first time I'd ever casted with deck lists. I'd always had closed, and it was a very different experience.
Yeah, I had a few events like that, and it is very different because you know and the players know exactly what they're playing around. But
whereas in closed deck list situations, you need to sometimes put yourself in the shoes of the player.
Yeah.
Even imagine just covering up.
And you have to weigh up pros versus cons. Like you always have to consider things like mind control tech, Eater of Secrets, etc. Cards like that are hugely different when you know the deck list.
And of course, like it's all well and good us talking about casting it, but of course it's the same for playing it as well. These are all the considerations the player has to take into account. And it looks like Snowman is saying, right, I need to start pushing damage ASAP. We're not worried about a measly little 1/4 being on the board. We're running out of cards now.
Direhorn Matriarch. A card that I say this every time we see it. A card that we don't see that often because the warrior has to get pretty deep through the deck before it ever shows up.
The mother of the hatchling.
Mother. Very specifically mother.
Bit weird that
we've worked that out over the course of the weeks.
the hatchling hatches and the mother comes out.
Yes.
I think it'd be the other way around, right? I don't know.
I think the hatchling's already hatched though. It's a baby. Hatchling means like it's
Okay.
just recently hatched.
All right, so you,
So we've learned what mother is now.
you send it to the deck, and then the mum comes back just to say, "Oi, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Leave my
well, she's
son
angry,
alone."
isn't she?
Yeah, I get it. I'm with you now.
Good.
So Sulfuras most likely not going to be played anytime soon. They may consider to play at some point because you do need a way of finishing off this game as well.
Italy, I was going to say Italy just continuing to draw their trash cards at the moment. They get the Pyroblast. No big minions though. And you say Sulfuras needs to be played at some point. Italy are going to fatigue themselves soon.
Yeah,
I don't think it does need to be played.
It doesn't need to be played, but it could be played at some point if they want
Yeah.
to finish the game off a little bit quicker.
Right.
To do.
But I imagine Apex Void is just going to be using that hero power every single turn, and Snowman is still trying to find every little point of damage. There's still another Armor Smith in the deck, potentially still another shield block as well for Canada.
Sleep with the fishes. Not going to do anything. It just doesn't matter though at the moment. Canada, like you said, like, they've probably got another shield block somewhere in the deck. They
So
can
there's-
just chill. Armor up.
There's another glyph left in these last three, right? We've only seen one, I believe. If my memory can serve me right, there's been a lot of Hearthstone today and a lot of Mage games.
They all kind of merge into one at some point. Second Firelands Portal. I think Glyph and Medivh are the last two cards.
I don't even know if Medivh is there, but either way, there is enough damage to potentially win this game at the moment. You've got Frostbolt, you've got Firelands Portal. If there's a glyph, that is potential for 10
Pyroblast,
damage.
Yeah. Could happen.
I don't even think you want Medivh at this point. It's
This-
not really going to help.
No, you're right. There's no way that Snowman gets board control here. There's no Doomsayer left to pair with one of those Frostnovas or Blizzards. Snowman can slow down Canada, prevent them from killing him, but ultimately, all that matters this game are two things. One, can Canada pick up any more armor? And two, can Italy pick up the burn damage that he needs, that Snowman needs?
Snowman and Italy. Now, Italy may not be aware of the situation with the tiebreakers. They may not have calculated them. There's that glyph. This is such a huge glyph. This is a glyph that could change Canada's fate in the global game.
And if he can, he plays Glyph and Pyroblasts immediately. You save the Firelands Portal for the last little bit of lethal to play around the potential of getting the corrupted heal bot. Oh, do you have to take Kabbalah's Tome?
Would you take Arcane Missiles?
Yeah, but missiles most of the time just
Take
hits
the
minions.
risk.
Yeah, it's the Kabbalah's Tome.
Okay, you take the tome and you look for more.
And you
but
can play it
need
right
to be
now.
Calculating.
You can play it.
Yeah.
It's fine. 7 cards in hand. Well, sorry, 8 cards in hand, but you use it up and then...
What's better than getting one Pyroblast from a Primordial Glyph?
Well,
Getting 3 Pyroblasts.
only
from a
problem is it
Gladstone.
means you can't play one this turn. And... Oh, another Glyph!
Another Glyph. Okay, you've got another chance. But you're right. You can't play it this turn, and you're also giving more time to Canada here to gain armor.
So I think Snowman's possibly Frost Novaing this turn. It does mean that, yeah, he's given APX Void an extra turn to dig out his armor and an extra armor total because Ping only deals 1 damage, armor picks up 2. But no, going to Frostbolt the face, going to really play to his outs.
You can't waste any time with Frost Nova. You're not worried about the damage that's incoming to your face at the moment.
And you know that Canada can't Sulfuras because then he's just dead in a couple of turns.
What Italy are praying for, aside from a potential Pyroblast or a Fireball from Primordial Glyph, is that Apex Void doesn't draw any of his armor generation. No other Armor Smith, no other shield block. There's 10 cards, there's potentially an Armor Smith and a shield block in those 10 cards.
Worth noting that Snowman is about to start fatiguing, which means that the ice block he's got equipped and the ice block in hand are going to become useless if APX Void can put Snowman down to 1 health, or even 2 the turn after that. He really is running out of time. So Frost Nova, Blizzard might actually end up being necessary just to put a stop to this minion damage over the next few turns. He's got to consider the 8 damage coming from the Sulfuras soon as well.
I'm really wondering what that last card is. trying to work it out.
I
Is
still
it
think
an
it's-
ice barrier?
I still think it's probably Medivh, but I could be completely
I don't
wrong.
even think they've got Medivh in this list.
No, it's
Yeah,
Archaeologist.
Archaeologist, okay.
Oh.
So, your worry is, okay, here's the worry, is that you do need to freeze the board because you don't want to allow them to take you down to 1 because you just kill yourself next turn because of fatigue.
There's the Pyroblast!
Okay, that's extra damage. So now you freeze the board. This is really awkward.
Yeah, you freeze the...
You can't freeze the board as well as Firelance Portaling.
Oh, well, you have to deal the damage then.
You can... right, okay, so you can Blizzard this turn and Ping. Next turn, you then Frost Nova and Firelance
Oh my
Portal, and then you
goodness.
follow up with Pyroblast.
But but in that time...
In that time, you may be dead. There may be enough damage. There may be a chance
Well, the
where
Sulfurous as well.
Sulfurous, yeah, exactly. Sulfurous can come down to actually finish this off.
Oh, this is so hard.
Italy running out of time, trying to calculate it. They've gone through the same route that we were thinking of.
They'll have trying to be working out if there's any way that Canada doesn't have the exact damage to put him at 1 health. And wondering if maybe they could just Pyroblast that turn. Decide that they can't. Okay. Well, Sulfurous is 4. Hero Power is 8. That's 11.
And then
Sorry, 12, I mean.
12 and then
the-
fatigue is 1.
That's it.
And that finishes it off. That means Canada will be moving through. They'll be joining the likes of China, Malaysia, Czech Republic, Netherlands, South Korea, New Zealand, Brazil, Austria, Greece, Ukraine, Mexico, Belgium, Taiwan, USA, but also joining Italy,
Yes!
who still go through on tiebreakers. What a way to finish Phase 2 of the Global Games.
We did it, boys. We did
Wow.
it.
Absolutely incredible. Unfortunately, that does mean the likes of Singapore, Bulgaria, they fall short. Argentina falls short, despite having a -1 difference in tiebreaker. But most importantly, Canada and Italy go through.
Well, celebrations for both teams that just played. Let's remind ourselves of how this series went once again all the way to the ace match. Innovan on the Paladin, taking down APX Void on the Druid. Purple with the Freeze-ish Mage, beating Snowman on the Jade Druid. Now that was a game.
An amazing game indeed. We thought, if they had got that Pyroblast from the previous glyph, then maybe they would have had a chance. But I wonder when that news is going to strike for Italy, that they are still through. If my calculations are correct, which I believe they are, because I got a little thumbs up from a good friend out back. But we will see, and of course, admins will make the final ruling. But let's have a little chat with Canada and see how they're feeling. Apex Void, my heart is pumping. Your heart must be pumping too.
Yeah, definitely. It was really close. Really, really close.
How worried were you in that final game about potentially damage coming through from that mage?
I was pretty worried. I mean, when they drew their whole deck, like on turn 5, basically with the acolytes, we were really scared. I mean, we were worried that they had an Anton and like we didn't have Dirty Rat to hit it, and we were really scared that they'd just get there on burn.
As it happened, you had pretty good reason to be scared, as they did have a Pyroblast in their hand right at the end from that final Primordial Glyph. So but tell me, because we're both a little bit confused, what's going on with Mage at the moment? Because your Mage was weird, their Mage was weird. What can you enlighten us?
Yeah, we figure that we just bring like the best mage to beat aggro decks. We scouted Italy, and they tend to play a lot of aggro in the previous matches, so we just wanted like a mage that could do really well against aggro.
Well, they did well against Jade Druid, somehow.
Yeah, that was a little surprising to us, but I think we played it really well and got there.
And how are you guys now? You're through to the last 16. You came out of nowhere, probably surprised a few people by doing so. How do you prepare for the final 16? Is it just watching the Spring Championships this weekend, keeping ahead of the meta?
Yeah, we'll definitely try to stay on top of the meta, like have the best decks prepared, always be switching things up and just trying to figure out the best lineup we possibly can.
Well, I'm glad that Canada have been able to move through because you have an amazing lineup, and I'm really excited to see how you guys progress. Congratulations again, and we'll see you next week for Phase 3.
Thank you. See you.
Cheers, dude. An amazing
Phase 3.
story. Phase 3, we've
Top
got
16! Oh, I'm excited to get there. We are there next week, but we need to just wait one more week.
there. I won't be because I'm going to be on holiday, but you know.
Oh, we'll talk a little bit about who will be there at the end. But let's look back at some of the top moments from this series. The J Druid, which I, on record, said cannot lose this game. It lost this game. I feels bad, man, about that.
You did say on record, on VODs as well. That's the worry.
On the VODs, Dan.
Luckily, you had a co-caster alongside
Twitch
you.
chat heard me say it.
You had a reasonable mind and said, but what if?
Reddit heard me say it.
Oh, that's always the worst. That's always worrying. But it was an absolute slobber knocker of a series. And regardless of result for Italy, they still go through. They would have been a little bit hard done by if they hadn't have made the calculations.
I'll be very disappointed if that does end up being wrong, but I mean, you and Lorinda have both done the maths. You've done a great job on that, both of you, this week. I would not have coped without you guys on those numbers. And yeah, it looks like there's a lot of good teams going through. It would have been a great shame if, after their great performance in Stage 1, if Canada didn't get through. They are fan favorites from everyone watching back home. I love the team as well, so I'm very excited to see that they did qualify.
They did, but I mean, the big story is Canada.
I'm talking about Canada.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just
so
automatically
down
assumed you were talking about Italy.
Well,
you're always saying you're a big fan of Italy.
No, he's saying Canada are such a fan favorite team. It would have been so sad to see them out after
Absolutely.
how they did in Stage 1.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been crazy. Just looking at the powerhouse that is the squad of Canada, if they hadn't have gone through, it would have been a real shame for the rest of the tournament, but instead, it was a long, hard-fought game, a game that we thought that potentially Italy could win with that mage. But Sulfurous, I said, may need to be played at some point, and it was played to finish the game
Just
for
to
Canada.
grab that lethal. Yeah, as soon as I noticed that Snowman was fatiguing, I'm thinking, oh, hang on, they may have less turns than we thought, as that fatigue damage can do the trick. Should we have a look at the results from today's games, Dan?
I think we should. It was an amazing day. It was a long day, a hard-fought day from everyone involved. Hungary taking down Brazil, Netherlands taking down Argentina, then we moved on to Austria, who were able to knock down Peru 3-1. Then Mexico came and got a 3-2 win against Bulgaria. We saw the celebration from Mexico, and then United States won 3-0 versus Israel, and final game of the day, Canada beat Italy 3-2. So, with all these games done and dusted, I guess we should take a look at the groups and see how they are all going to be panning out. So, China and Malaysia move through. However, Singapore are out. They do not qualify. Their game difference is not good enough. United States, Czech Republic, they're through. So are Belgium, because they have a great record. They are 0 with their game difference, so they're also through. Netherlands and South Korea, they're through, but Argentina are, we think, out. I'm going to say that out because their game difference isn't good enough, as well as their second tiebreaker. New Zealand and Brazil go through, as well as Taiwan, who also go through as a third-place finisher. Moving to Group E then, Austria, Greece, and Ukraine all go through with a match record of 2-1. That's an easy one.
Right.
No one had to think about that one, which leaves us
I could have
with
worked that one out.
Group F. Mexico and Canada going through, but also Italy on a tiebreaker as well. So we have our final 16 teams.
Did a quick tally chart to make sure that you only listed 4 third places that go through, and yep, 4 third places is what you just listed, so I'm going to go with it. That's very, very exciting stuff. Oh yeah, okay, they've got something special coming up, Dan. It's not birthday related, don't get too excited, but we've learned 24 facts from you today, apparently. Production have behind the scenes been keeping track, and that's just today.
24 from 6 games.
Yeah, they've been keeping a little tally. Every time you've written a fact, they've just added one to it, and there you go. 24 facts from Dan, the birthday fact man, Gaskin, today.
And it has been an amazing birthday, actually.
Good.
I thank you, I thank Lorinda, I thank everyone who watched at home, to be honest. This has been a very memorable birthday for me.
But what's going on next week? Where are you going to be?
Next week I go on holiday. I'm in America.
Well, not to worry too much, because next week, to kick off Stage 3, Cora is going to be flying over, and I'm going to be casting with her all of next week. So I can't wait to see how the bracket looks. We're going to start kicking out teams.
Yep, the last 16 starts next week, so get ready, prepare your Hearthstone decks. But we also have this weekend, it's the HCT Spring Championships, so check that out on the Twitch channel as well. But from all of us here, from myself, I've had a fantastic birthday. Thanks for joining me, and well, we'll see you next week for the last 16.